All right, the title of this particular section is Should Stem Cell Research Utilizing Embryonic Tissue Be Conducted? And here we're talking about human stem cell research with human embryonic tissue. So the first thing to note is that stem cells, as they point out, are found in all multicellular organisms. Stem cells are a type of cell that has two main abilities. First, to renew itself through many cycles of cell division, and second, to differentiate into various types of cell. So the authors point out that it's understood that there's two main types of stem cells within mammals. The first kind, which is the focus of this part of the book, are embryonic stem cells. These come from the inner cell mass of an early stage embryo, and these are often described as being totipotent. For them to be totipotent, it means they've got the ability to differentiate into any one of the cells in a mammal's body. The second type, which is not so much the focus of this chapter, is the type called somatic stem cells, dealing with the body. These are often called adult stem cells as well. They're found all over the human body, many different types of tissues, and these are not totipotent, but they're often called pluripotent or multipotent, which means that these types of cells have the ability to differentiate into a number of closely related cells, but not any old cell type. Now, there's many people who find producing human embryonic stem cells to be immoral. The main reason that's given is that the standard procedure for harvesting stem cells results in the destruction of the human embryo. Now, let me tell you two slides that provide a ray of hope here for avoiding some debate. In 2011, this biotech company called ACT, or Advanced Cell Technologies, was given a patent from the US Patent and Trademark Office for something called single blastomere technology. This, as your authors note, is a method of harvesting stem cells from embryos without having to destroy the embryos in the process. It is, you take one cell out of the developing embryo without destroying the developing embryo in the process. However, it's still a little bit controversial. The single blastomere technology is still being researched, and some research indicates that it's not really possible for a human embryo to grow normally following the harvesting of its stem cells. So, for example, people who think the embryo is a person or who has high moral status, someone will say, look, even though you're not destroying it, you're still removing one of its parts that it needs to properly grow and develop. So that's kind of a problem. So the next thing to point out would be that there's two main camps here. There's a lot of people who agree with Tad Pawlacik. He's a representative of the NCBC when he says, in a gesture that reduces young humans to commodities or manipulable products, embryonic humans should not be generated in laboratory glassware where they can be prodded, invaded, and violated. On the other side of the spectrum would be a group of thinkers that claim that the early human embryo is too rudimentary in its structure and its development to have moral status or to have interests in its own right. Now, the two authors represented in the target articles straddle this divide. The first chapter of the section has an author that's in full agreement with a number of thinkers that say the embryo is not a person. It's a human organism, perhaps, but it's not a person that has moral rights like the right to life or things like that. The second author of this chapter says, even if the human embryo is not a person, even if you take the line that, yes, the human embryo is not a person, fully like you or I, still, she argues that such a being is sacred. Now, there's ways of fleshing this out, as we'll see, but given the sacredness and the respect that we're supposed to owe the things that are sacred, a human embryo should not be used in research experiments, even if we know that much good will come of it. Interestingly, the two authors that are chosen for this particular debate are people who agree on something that's still a controversial thing to agree on, and that is this. These two authors agree that research should be performed on some human embryos if those embryos have already been produced through IVF or in vitro fertilization. But these embryos are considered to be extras that are going to be discarded anyway. So that's a position that some people find attractive, even if they disagree with each other on other kinds of things. Yet that's also a controversial position, as we will see in our discussion.